was in the final scene of the chapter. My internet has been really crappy lately. Sorry about that. Alright, let's do this scene again. You want me to come because I don't know where it left off. You want me to come in with you? Ian asked. Yes, Rachel said, but she knew he couldn't. It was her problem to face. No. Right, he said with a quick turn, likely to hide his relief. See you tomorrow. Rachel wasn't sure how she found the courage to make it up the cement driveway onto the porch and knock on her door. The truth was, she didn't. Her hand stopped just in front. She could hear Jacob playing limbo. She could recognize the creepy sound effects immediately, and could hear his character getting impaled by a spider. She could also hear her dad in the office, working away on his writing. And her mother... ... The door opened, and her mother stared down on her with eyes sharper than a tiger's claw. She must have seen Rachel's shadow in the window. How long were you going to stand there? Her mother asked, or were you just passing through? May I come in? Rachel asked, unsure what else to say, and afraid she might be coming off too much like Oliver Twist. Her mother slapped her, flat palm across her face. It would have hurt were Rachel not 37 times stronger than her mom now. Hannah, Rachel's father said, hurrying into the hallway in response to the noise. Remember what we agreed on. You said we would be supportive. It is still my turn. Her parents could never agree on how to raise their children, so they made each other a deal. Their mother got to raise them her way during the week, but then on the weekend her father would be in charge. That meant a lot of chores and homework Monday to Friday, but they got later bedtimes on Saturday and Sunday. Plus, no church. Do what you want, Rachel's mom told her dad, but I'm not making her breakfast in the morning. With that, Rachel's mom stormed off to the kitchen. Rachel wanted to go after her mom, and more importantly hug her, and say how sorry she was, but she didn't get the chance as her father swept her into his arms. Thank God you're okay, he said quietly, kissing her forehead and the cheek her mother had slapped before squeezing her tightly. Rachel wanted to tell him the truth. More importantly, she didn't want to tell him one of the 7 lame excuses the gang had come up with for her absence. The reality was she could neither tell the truth nor lie to her father, leaving her with only one way out. I'm tired, she told him after a pained silence. Her father sighed. You know, he said with a scrutinizing look, when I said I didn't want to hold you back, I didn't mean for you to run away. I didn't want to, she told him honestly. Please believe me. Get some sleep, her father told her, ruffling her hair with his hand. And don't worry about breakfast, he continued. You can always take from my plate. She made her way slowly up the familiar stairs and checked in on Jacob before making it to her room. Hey, she said with a knock on his door. I'm back. He turned to catch a glance of her, his face alight with surprise. With his attention pulled away from the game on his TV, his character plunged to an untimely death. Turning to the game, Jacob swore. Aha! Frack! Does Ian know you're back? He asked with a restart of the level. Yeah, Rachel admitted, pulling a $20 bill from her pocket. Here's the $20 he owes you, she told him. Jacob seemed unsure at first whether or not to accept her money, but he eventually did with an easy outreach of his arm. I figured out who the strongest god of thunder is, he told her with a change of the subject. She appreciated how quickly her brother had become comfortable with her again. She never thought she'd miss him, were he ever gone, but being with him again really helped her realize how much she appreciated having a brother, who was perhaps the most important family she had. So who would win? She asked. Raiden or Zeus? Neither, Jacob said with a sneer. Thor could easily defeat both of them with one swing of his Mjolnir. Rachel smiled genuinely for the first time in a while. Well, I'm glad we can close the case on that, she told him. Good night. Jacob mumbled something and then swore at his game again, this time a string of words Rachel would never hear said in quite that order again. Turning on the light as she entered her room, she was painfully reminded of the bright pink-colored walls and promptly shut them off again. We need to talk, Rachel heard her dad say to her mom downstairs. Rachel collapsed on her bed and stared silently up at the ceiling as she listened to her parents argue. I won't just forgive her, Rachel's mom said quietly. What if something had happened to her? Her father said. Rachel could hear her mom sighing, as if in frustration. It's almost worse that she's all right, her mother continued. After everything we did for her, she couldn't even call to say she was all right. The TV volume was turned up, probably because her dad was expecting to get louder. He never seemed to like arguing, least of all with Rachel's mom, and he always did the best he could to keep their disputes away from their kids. She's not a kid anymore, Rachel's dad told her mom. We need to try and support her while she finds herself. Don't give me all that new age crap, her mother rebutted loudly. She's not a rational adult, Eric. She's still our kid, and we're not her friends, we're her parents. Rachel heard enough. She could see now that superhuman hearing could be equal amounts of a curse as it was a gift. Shutting her eyes tightly, Rachel wished really hard that she would be able to fall asleep again just this once, like a normal girl. Scene change, scene change, scene change. When Rachel opened her eyes again, she was no longer in her room. Instead, she was standing in an empty field with nothing for miles but a small primitive-looking log cabin standing against the horizon. The ground beneath her feet looked as if it spent much of the year feeding row after row of tall corn, but the weather was cold and dark now, and the ground beneath her feet was dirt, nothing more. Also, none of it was real. It worked, Rachel said out loud in surprise. She hadn't felt tired. Not once since becoming a vampire, had been fairly certain she couldn't sleep. Seemed now as if that wasn't the case. We've been waiting here, said a lady's voice from behind Rachel. Rachel knew it was Lily before turning, but hadn't expected her to be joined by two other women. One was tall and pale, with brown hair tied in a bun beneath a funny three-pointed hat. Rachel wasn't sure what the hat was called, but she remembered a lot of people wearing similar hats in Civil War movies. Yeah? And where is here? Asked Rachel. Why the empty field? What is it supposed to symbolize? Ever since watching a miniseries... she's no longer talking. Ever since watching a miniseries based on Stephen King's novel The Stand, Rachel found cornfields creepy as all hell. This is my home, said the third lady indignantly. Oh, this is British. This is my home, said the third lady indignantly with a strong British accent. Rachel recognized the blonde beauty as the same lavishly dressed bimbo from her previous dream. It's nice, Rachel said quickly. I was brought up here, the British lady continued. I was born in the same room I slept in for 10 years after my mother died. I expected to grow old and die like her, and her mother before her, perhaps even in the same bed. It was to be my fate. What happened? Rachel asked. Well, it's already gone now, isn't it? The lady snapped at Rachel. This whole place is probably a high-speed freeway. A perfect end to a disappointing legacy. Tiffany was killed by Eckhart when she was only 15, Lily explained to Rachel. But you'd know all about dying young, wouldn't you? Rachel forced a smile. I'm not dead, she told them. I still have a pulse, which means I'm still human, so thanks for the talk, but I'll be on my way. Her threat to leave was pointedly empty, as she didn't in fact have any place to go. You'll be coming soon to finish the job, the woman in the hat said in a thick French accent. In over 100 years of preying on young women like us, Eckhart has never once allowed someone he's turned to live. What makes you think he'll start with you? Rachel didn't want to hear any more. Don't you ladies get it? Rachel asked softly. I just want to be a normal 16-year-old girl. She closed her eyes tightly and thought really hard about waking up. Scene change, scene change, scene change. She didn't need to open her eyes to know that she was back in her room. She could hear her parents snoring in their bedroom. The argument from earlier was clearly, or at least temporarily, resolved. Rachel grabbed her sketch pad from her bag, along with her headphones, and settled down on her bed for what she expected would be a long night. Her light was still off, but she didn't need any light to see. Her eyes could see almost, though not quite, as clearly as if it were day. Everything but color. But she never cared too much for color anyway. There was something about Rachel's dreams that just didn't sit right with her. It was the feeling she had whenever she was in one of her dreams. The feeling was everywhere. It was the same feeling she got from every single one of the girls. They all felt like death. And that's the end of the chapter. Next chapter is chapter 6, about the kiss, or the vampire stuff. And that's going to be all we have for today. We'll try to do another chapter, maybe Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Sometime like that during the weekend will be good, I think. I hope you enjoyed this chapter. I'm sorry it took us so long for me to release it. I was just really busy with my writing and changing jobs and dealing with cockroaches and all kinds of craziness. And so I just kept putting this off and putting other things off and rebuilding my life slowly over time. By the time I was done my writing, my DVR was backed up to like 20 hours and more kept being added, so I finally had to catch up on that. That took weeks. It's just been a long, busy, crazy time. So probably I will not get to this every week, but definitely I will get to this again at the end of this week. I can at least promise that much. And then from there, who knows? We'll have episodes whenever we have episodes, and you can enjoy it. And if you want to get more of the story faster than that, you can always just go to my Patreon at patreon.com/99geek, or you can just type in 99geek.ca, and that will take you to my website, where you can find a chance to subscribe for just $1 and gain access to all of my writing. That's this entire book, which is like easily like 800 pages, I think, or 900, something crazy like that. And then there's also a sequel to this book, and there's a science fiction book that takes place in space, with like fighter pilots and stuff. And then there's a fantasy book with swords and magic and fantasy stuff, and that's cool. There's a story about a journalist in Iraq who's trying to piece together abuse that's happening to their citizens there. And there's a story about a paranormal investigator who's loved and lost, and is just trying to make it day by day. So all of that is capable to be read on my website, 99geek.ca, on the Patreon page. You just go there, subscribe for $1, you get access to like almost 2,000 pages worth of content now. It's a lot of pages, it's really awesome. There's a new chapter every single month that you get access to, which is pretty awesome. All just for you. You can read it on your phone, you can read it on your tablet, you can read it on your PC, you can read it on any kind of electronic device you can think of that reads PDFs, because they all come in nice PDF formats. I don't know what else to tell you. If you really don't want to subscribe for $1, you can always go on my on Amazon and find my books there. My books are on Amazon. They're a little more expensive. It's really worth it just to pay the $1, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. Other than that, I've got a blog on my website, 99geek.ca, where you can find me ranking TV shows, talking about all the stuff going on, talking about why I'm not doing things like releasing this podcast on time. There's also other things like streams for video games. There's video for this podcast if you're listening to the podcast. All kinds of stuff. There's YouTube links, all that. But what matters is my writing. And I hope some of you check it out, because it means a lot to me. Anyway, so that's everything for today. I will see you again soon. Sorry this was split in half. My internet's been having some real issues lately. I don't know what to do about it. Doesn't seem to be anything I can do but put up with it. So that's what I'm going to do for now. At least it came back, which is word I can say this morning. Peace out. May the force be with you, and live long and prosper. End broadcast.